Alright, gather round because the story I'm about to tell you is a masterclass in why you should never, ever underestimate a woman who has been pushed too far. This is about a girl, me, who discovered her boyfriend wasn't just cheating, he was living a double life funded by my hard work and loyalty. But instead of crying into a pint of ice cream, I plotted. With the help of my ride-or-die cousin and best friend, I orchestrated a takedown so complete, so devastating that he was left broke, publicly exposed, and utterly humiliated. This isn't just a story, it's a guide to serving karma piping hot. So please, like and subscribe because you're gonna want to hear every last detail. Liam and I had been a couple for 3 long years. The first 2, they were fine. Serviceable, nothing that would inspire a sonnet, but we got along. We built a life, or so I thought. But that final year, our relationship curdled into a full-blown psychological nightmare. He transformed into this paranoid, controlling monster. It started subtly with him snooping through my phone while I was in the shower. Then it escalated. He'd demand to know where I was every second of the day. Why was I 5 minutes late from work? If a male colleague sent a completely innocent message about a work project, he would erupt into a jealous rage, accusing me of having a secret affair. It was suffocating. In front of our friends, he'd make these passive-aggressive jokes about me cheating, little digs designed to undermine me while making him look like the witty, long-suffering boyfriend. And the moment I got upset, the moment I tried to defend myself, he'd flip the script. Suddenly, I was being too sensitive. I was overreacting. He'd say with a smug little smirk. It was textbook gaslighting, and it was driving me insane. The painful, agonizing truth. I never cheated. Not once. I had been nothing but completely foolishly loyal. He, on the other hand, was projecting. He was building a prison of accusations around me to hide the fact that he was the one living a lie. It was my best friend, Dana, who finally blew the whole thing wide open. We've been inseparable since high school, the kind of friends who are basically sisters. One night while Lam was supposedly working late, she came over. I was at my breaking point telling her about his latest paranoid tirade. I showed her the frantic text where he had accused me of meeting up with another man because I took 15 minutes too long at the grocery store. He was convinced I was having a trust in the frozen food aisle. Dana went quiet, her expression shifting from sympathy to something I couldn't quite read. Then, she slid her phone across the coffee table. And there it was plain as day, Liam's active, verified dating profile. Claiming he was single and looking for some no-strings-attached fun. My world just tilted on its axis. Dana gently explained that she had suspected something for weeks. A friend of hers had actually matched with him and, recognizing him from my social media, had tipped Dana off. Dana, being the tactical genius she is, didn't come to me with just a rumor. She had started collecting evidence, building a case, making sure it was airtight before she dropped this bomb on my life. That night, fueled by a mix of heartbreak and pure, unadulterated rage, we hatched a plan. Revenge would. Dana would create a fake dating profile, a catfish account, and match with him. We wanted to see just how far he would go, how deep his depravity ran. It took less than an hour. They matched and he immediately took the bait. The messages he sent were disgusting, a fire hose of sleaze and lies. He told fake Dana that he was single, that he was trying to escape crazy ex-girlfriend who just won't let go. That's me, by the way. When Dana, through her fake persona, asked why he didn't just break up with me, his response made my blood run cold. She pays half the rent and does all the cooking and cleaning. Why would I give that up until I find something better? He saw me as a convenience. A live-in maid with benefits. Then, as if that wasn't enough, he started sending her screenshots of his chats with other women, bragging about his conquests. In those chats, they laughed about me. They openly mocked me. He called me names I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. One message from him read, "I literally have to hold my breath when she tries to kiss me, I nearly gag." A girl replied, "Omg, you're a saint for putting up with that. I would have been gone." And he answered, "It's complicated, but trust me, not for much longer. Promise." And all this time he was sleeping in my bed, eating the meals I cooked, wearing the clothes I washed, all while I was bending over backwards to prove my loyalty to him. He wasn't just cheating, he was methodically stabbing me in the back, over and over. I didn't confront him. Oh no, that would have been too easy, too merciful. Dana and I were in agreement. We didn't just want proof, we wanted a plan. This wasn't about winning him back, God. No, this was about making him pay. This was about crushing him so completely that he would regret the day he ever crossed me. So, for the next few weeks, I became an actress worthy of an Oscar. I played the role of the perfect, doting, clueless girlfriend. Dana, my brilliant co-conspirator, kept chatting with him through the fake account, reeling him in deeper and deeper. Meanwhile, I'd smile and kiss him goodbye in the mornings, the taste of his lies like ash in my mouth. I kept making his favorite dinners, folding his laundry, pretending that everything was perfect. When he accused me of flirting with the delivery guy, a teenager who literally handed me a bag of food and ran, I even apologized, my voice dripping with fake sincerity. But inside, I was a cold, calculating machine, taking meticulous notes for the reckoning to come. One night, he stumbled home late, reeking of a cheap floral perfume I didn't recognize. I casually mentioned it. He exploded. He called me paranoid, delusional, said I clearly needed professional help. He even had the audacity to claim I must be depressed because I hadn't been myself lately. I just smiled, nodded, and apologized again, letting him think he had won another battle. But that little episode, that blatant gas, slid straight out of my ever-growing list of reasons why he had this coming. I started a covert investigation into our finances. We had a joint account for bills, but Liam had a separate, private savings account that he guarded like it was Fort Knox. He was always bragging about his financial discipline, about the nest egg he was building for our future. What a complete and utter joke, which I managed to access, told the real story. There were huge cash withdrawals on the nights he claimed to be working late. Charges from fancy restaurants, boutique hotels, and expensive gift shops littered his transaction history. That's when I knew exactly how to dismantle him. I would hit him where it hurt the most, his ego and his bank account. I knew I needed more firepower. I called him my cousin Maya. People always said we looked alike, but Maya was the upgraded version, taller, more glamorous, with an effortless confidence that turned heads everywhere she went. She also owed me a massive favor after I spent a month helping her piece her life back together after a soul-crushing breakup the year before. I convened an emergency Wurzel with Maya and Dana and laid out the entire sordid story. Maya was incandescent with rage. She said what Liam was doing wasn't just cheating, it was calculated emotional abuse. And she was absolutely right. Dana showed her the mountain of screenshots, the vile messages, the dating profiles. Maya couldn't believe the sheer two-faced audacity of him. Playing the victim, he treated me like human garbage behind my back. By the end of our 3-hour summit, the hurt I felt had crystallized into something cold, hard, and sharp. I was focused. I was ready. That night, I watched Liam from across the living room, a smug smirk on his face as he texted on his phone, probably telling some girl how disgusting I was while simultaneously preparing to accuse me of being unfaithful. And in that moment, I wasn't just looking for payback anymore. I wanted to utterly annihilate his self-worth. I wanted him to regret every single cruel word, every lie, every betrayal. I wanted to hit him so hard in the exact places he was most vulnerable that he would never recover. And Dana and Maya, they were all in. What we planned next was something straight out of a Hollywood thriller. This was my life, and I was taking back the narrative. Step 1 of our masterpiece, Maya would accidentally run into Liam at his gym. He was a creature of habit, hitting that trendy downtown fitness club every Tuesday and Thursday like clockwork. He claimed it was for training, but I now knew it was just another one of his hunting grounds. Maya got a guest pass, and we studied his routine like military strategists. Liam, in his infinite vanity, loved posting gym selfies with timestamps. So predictable, so stupid. We knew his schedule down to the minute. Maya would position herself on the treadmill right next to his favorite weight bench. On the first day of what we dubbed Operation Takedown, Maya wore a pair of leggings so eye-catching they could have stopped traffic. She texted me from the gym, target acquired. He's been staring like a starved dog since I walked in. And just as we predicted, Liam accidentally bumped into her near the water fountain, launching into some cheesy small talk about protein shakes before asking for her number to share fitness tips. By that evening, he was already blowing up her phone. I sat with Maya on my couch, reading every pathetic message in real time as Dana arrived with takeout and wine, our official supplies for psychological warfare. His texts were painfully generic, a fire hose of compliments about her body and clumsy questions about whether she was single. The beauty of the plan was its simplicity. Liam had absolutely no idea Maya was my cousin. We had a family resemblance, sure, but you'd only notice if you were really paying attention. And let's be honest, Liam hadn't truly paid attention to me in years. He was so blinded by his own ego and lust that he couldn't see the trap being laid right at his feet. The plan was simple, brutal, and brilliant. Maya would date him. She would let him get completely and utterly obsessed, and then she would make him spend a fortune on her. All the while I would continue to play the loyal, clueless girlfriend, secretly watching as he dug his own grave. Their first date was just 3 days later. Liam told me he had a mandatory work function. I smiled, kissed him goodbye, told him to have fun, and then drove straight to Dana's apartment, where we followed the entire evening through Maya's live text updates. He took her to one of the most expensive restaurants in the city, the same one I had begged him to take me to for our anniversary, the one he always said afford. Maya reported that he ordered the most expensive wine on the menu and bragged nonstop about his high-paying job and his impressive savings. Then, with zero shame, basically single and just wrapping up a dead-end thing. When Maya sent us a selfie from the restaurant bathroom, looking absolutely flawless, I felt a wave of nausea. Watching my boyfriend wine and dine my cousin while I sat on a couch eating popcorn was surreal. But every time a pang of guilt hit me, Dana was there to remind me, this is just proof of who he is. And soon, he'll be paying for it all. Literally. In the weeks that followed, Liam fell for Maya hard. He started canceling our plans to see her, staying out later, coming home with that smug, secretive grin on his face. And Maya kept us updated with every sordid detail. At first, the spending was minor, a few nice dinners, concert tickets. But Maya was a master. She'd casually mention a necklace she'd seen in a store window, and the next day, he was dropping hundreds on earrings to impress her. She'd talk about a romantic getaway she'd always dreamed of, and he'd start booking hotels. The best part, Maya would forget her expensive gifts at his place, claiming she didn't want to lose them. In reality, it meant he could never ask for them back. She'd then bring the entire haul straight to me. By the end of the first month, I had a treasure trove of expensive jewelry, designer handbags, and even a luxury watch, all purchased with the money Liam claimed he was saving for our future. Maya even developed a system for cash. Liam would pay for everything on his credit card. She'd offer to give him her half in cash, which she'd then Venmo that same fund money directly to me. We called it our revenge fund, and it was growing at an astonishing rate. One weekend, Liam announced he had to attend a business conference in a beach town 2 hours away. In reality, it was a luxury getaway with Maya. She told him she'd need about $800 in spending money for spa treatments and shopping. He handed it over in cash without blinking. That same money funded a full spa day for me and Dana back in the city. The works, all courtesy of the man actively cheating on me. We even posted pictures online, knowing he never bothered to look at my social media anymore. Meanwhile, his lies to me were getting more and more elaborate. One time he claimed his mom was sick and he had to go take care of her. He was actually at a vineyard resort with Maya. The delicious twist. His mom called me that weekend to invite us to dinner. I had to cover for him, telling her he had a terrible case of food poisoning. Keeping up the charade was exhausting, but the recordings Maya sent me of their conversations kept me going. Hearing him call me desperate and clingy fueled my rage. The worst was when he said he couldn't wait to get rid of the dead weight, that I was like a Roomba that pays rent. When I heard that, I smashed a glass against the wall. That recording solidified my resolve. This man deserved everything that was coming to him. Our plan was working perfectly. Maya convinced him to buy her a brand new iPhone, which she gave to me. She got him to splurge on designer shoes in her size, which just so happened to be my size. She even got him to pay for a weekend yoga retreat that she couldn't attend at the last minute, so Dana and I went instead. Around the 2-month mark, Maya launched phase 2, dropping hints about tropical destinations, the kind with overwater bungalows. And Liam, desperate to play the hero, took the bait. Then we discovered his ultimate betrayal. He had been secretly transferring money from our joint account, the one we use for rent and bills, into his private one to fund his secret life. He was literally stealing from me to romance my cousin. That was it. The gloves were off. By the end of month 3, Liam was deep in debt, planning a fantasy getaway he couldn't afford, and he still had no idea that he was just a pawn in our game. Month 4 of Operation Drain Liam Dry is where he truly started to unravel. He was so obsessed with Maya that he got sloppy, leaving receipts from fancy restaurants in his pockets, which I'd find while doing his laundry. He even muttered Maya's name in his sleep one night. I had to bite my tongue so hard I tasted blood. Then, he had the absolute nerve to sit me down for a serious talk about our finances. He claimed he was having temporary cash flow problems and asked if I could cover the full rent and utilities for the next month. This man, dropping thousands on my cousin, was asking me to cover his bills. I smiled sweetly and said, "Of course, honey." The very next day, Maya called him in fake tears, claiming her car had broken down and she needed $600 for repairs. Despite being broke, he magically found the money. She then split the cash with me and Dana. The real prize was the tropical vacation. Maya had him completely hooked on the idea of a luxury trip to Bora Bora. He didn't have the money, but he was desperate. He started selling his prized vintage guitars on eBay. He pawned the expensive watch his grandfather had left him. He even cashed out his crypto portfolio at a massive loss. And while he was liquidating his assets for Maya, he was telling me we needed to cut back on luxuries like Netflix and my daily coffee. One night I saw it on his phone. He had taken out a $15,000 personal loan, all to impress a woman he'd known for 4 months. All while telling me, his girlfriend of 3 years, that we were broke. That's when I knew the endgame was near. I had already secretly found a new apartment and started moving my most important belongings out. The charade was wearing on me, but a self-care day at a hot spring spa, paid for by our glorious revenge fund, reminded me that freedom was just around the corner. The night I got back, he was pacing nervous. He sat me down and to my absolute astonishment, he dropped to one knee and pulled out a ring box. He proposed, with a tiny cheap-looking ring. He rambled on about how he'd been distant but now realized I was the one. I was speechless. This psycho was proposing to me while still planning a romantic getaway with my cousin. Was he trying to lock me down? It was pathetic. I didn't say yes or no. I told him I needed time to think. He then suggested I go stay with my parents for a few days to clear my head. He wasn't being thoughtful. He wanted me out of the apartment so he could have Maya over. I played along, packed a bag, and drove straight to Dana's. We decided to use his pathetic proposal to our advantage. Maya cranked up the financial pressure, becoming extra needy. Then came the final, desperate plea. He asked to meet at a coffee shop. He looked exhausted. He told me he was drowning in debt and then asked the unthinkable. He wanted me to take out a loan in my name to consolidate his debts. He framed it as a way for us to get stronger together. I almost threw my coffee in his face. Instead, I told him I'd think about it. The trap was almost set. Maya told him she'd gotten a bonus and could help fund their dream vacation. All he had to do was finish booking the non-refundable flights and resort. He did it, borrowing the last few thousand from his brother. The vacation was 2 weeks away. Those last 12 days were a blur of high-stakes tension. I told him I'd spoken to my bank about the loan and that it looked promising, on the condition that I could see all his financial records. He panicked but agreed. The night before their trip, I told him I was going to stay with Dana for a few days to think. The relief on his face was shameless. He thought he was getting away with it all. I walked out of that apartment for the last time, leaving behind a carefully written letter on the kitchen table detailing every lie, every betrayal, complete with screenshots of his most vile messages. The letter ended with a simple warning. If he ever contacted any of us again, the full evidence folder would be sent to his parents, his employer, and posted publicly. The next morning, the three of us watched from a cafe at the airport as he waited for Maya. At 8:45 a.m., just as he was about to check in, Maya sent him the final blow, to selfie of the three of us, middle fingers raised high, with the surprise, "Hope you enjoy your 17,000 vacation for one. P.S. Your girlfriend knows everything." We watched as the color drained from his face. We saw the panic, the confusion, the dawning horror. He tried calling Maya, blocked. He tried calling me, blocked. He slumped onto a bench, a man completely broken, before dragging his suitcase of tropical shirts toward the exit, his fantasy vacation, and his entire life in ruins. He returned to an apartment he was now locked out of, with a letter detailing his sins waiting inside. Over the next month, we heard through the grapevine that he was working 2 jobs, trying to claw his way out of the mountain of debt he'd created. The Bora Bora trip was non-refundable. His credit score was shot. His pride was obliterated. He had to move back in with his parents. Meanwhile, I'm thriving. I'm in my beautiful new apartment. I got a promotion, and I'm surrounded by designer goods he unknowingly paid for. Last week, he showed up drunk at my new building at 3 a.m., crying into my Ring doorbell camera, begging for another chance. I watched the pathetic display from my warm, comfortable bed, sent the video to Maya and Dana so we could all have a good laugh, and then forward, I slept like a baby that night. Because while he's spiraling broken alone, I'm living my best life. That, my friends, is karma. And it is absolutely delicious.